everybody, Silver Picker here, and today's video is a bonus video. That's right, you get an extra dose of Silver Picker this week, and it is a special video about a collection of mine that actually predates my interest in numismatics, and that is, of course, my pocket knife collection. Well, some of these, as you can see, won't exactly fit in a pocket, but it's my knife collection, and I started collecting pocket knives when I was just 8 years old. And this guy over here is my first one. I'll tell you the story of that one. All of these actually have a story, but we're gonna go through them, and it's gonna be kind of a long form, casual video, old school style. You can see I am on the floor like I used to do in my old videos. This is actually the floor of my childhood bedroom, and that's why I'm showing you my knife collection, because it's been stored here all these years. And that's a good segue into why I'm making this video right now. First off, I promised that I would make this video years ago, and I never actually got around to doing it. Then, the second reason is that I decided that I am going to finally part ways with this collection. I'm going to sell all of the knives that you see here, well, with a couple exceptions for some really nostalgic ones, but I'm going to be selling everything you see here, and if you're interested, you can message me at thesilverpicker on Instagram or email me at thesilverpicker@gmail.com, and we'll make a deal. And also, if somebody wants to buy the whole collection, well, I'll make you a killer deal. Anyway, I'm selling the collection, and I wanted to show off what I have. And then the third and final reason is that since I am selling this super nostalgic collection, I thought it'd be nice to have at least a video record and a little memory of this collection for when I sell it. And why am I selling it? Well, because it sits wrapped up in this knife roll in my childhood bedroom, many, many miles from where I live. I don't use it, I don't look at it, I don't enjoy it. And what I'd like to do is I would like to convert this collection into collections that I'm actually interested in right now, namely my coin collection. I have a few sort of high-end coin holes in my US typeset, and I think that selling this collection could help me fill at least one of them with a really, really nice example. So that's my goal, because I have a few knives here that are basically worthless. I have a few that are worth in like the $10 to $50 range, and then I have a couple that are actually worth in the 100 and up club. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little time, we're gonna enjoy ourselves, and we're just gonna talk a little bit about collecting in general, and I'm gonna tell you some of the stories of each of these knives, and we're gonna go, right into it. And we'll start right off with this guy. This was my first knife ever, and I nicknamed it, or my dad and I nicknamed it, the Akistan knife. Why? Well, now I'm not opening it really safely, of course, but I'll do better when I put this camera on the tripod. But it says, as you can see here, it says stainless Pakistan. Well, when I was 8 years old, when my dad bought this for me at a flea market, my very first pocket knife, I misread it and I thought it said Akistan. I said, "Dad, what's Akistan?" And he said, "It's Pakistan." So we nicknamed it the Akistan knife since then. And I carried this on many, many, many hikes and camping trips. And this one I'm not going to get rid of. First of all, it's not really worth anything. And second of all, it is so nostalgic for me, and I can't part with that. So that one I'm going to keep. All right, you know what? Let's put this bad boy on a tripod. See, we're going old school on this video, right? We're going to do everything like I used to back in the day. All right, we're just going to go one by one. This guy is a very classic knife. It is an Opinel. It's a French knife. It's one of the few French knives I have. And this one I bought because I wanted to learn how to whittle. I wanted to whittle sticks, and the person at the knife store told me that this was a good one. It was inexpensive. I also thought it was cool because it has a unique lock. It's like a twisting lock, right? So it locks like that and keeps it straight. And these Opinel knives are some of the most popular knives anywhere, basically. So it's probably like a $10 knife or something like that. But I remember getting it, and I remember thinking it was really cool, and I love the wood handle, and I love the shape. It's a very rustic knife. This is a very valuable knife. I was once told that it's worth over $1,000, but that's a long time ago, and I have to do a little more research. You'll see on the screen if I did some research and saw that it is indeed valuable. It's the 960 Puma Cub, and it's a Puma brand knife. My dad got this, I think, in the 1980s, and I always thought it was cool, and he gave it to me many years ago. It's got amazing, amazing heft, really amazing heft, like no wiggle at all on the blade. It's a classic push-button lock like that, and it's a really, really nice knife. This one I would definitely let go for the right price. Again, I have to do a little bit more research. This one I'm not going to sell because I don't know the legality of selling it, and also it was another one that my dad had and gave to me. He wouldn't let me keep this until I was a little bit older, right? Like this pocket knife as an 8-year-old, you can learn responsibility and, you're not going to really hurt yourself with it necessarily. This guy, however, is called a stiletto, or at least that's what my dad called it, and it is a spring action knife. I don't believe that this is legal to resell, so I'm going to hold on to that one as well. This one we're going to come back to because this one is a custom knife, and this one is worth a lot of money. So we are going to come back to that one in a little bit towards the end of the video, so you definitely want to stick around. This one is one of these like souvenir knives, but it is from Portugal, and you can see it has a maker's mark on there. And this is like another classic like rustic knife, very similar to the Open L. It has a little fork on here and a little bottle opener. So it's almost like a multi-tool, but not quite the design of a multi-tool. And my dad actually bought this for me in Portugal. So a lot of these knives were gifts from my dad. So, I guess this is from the city that he bought it in. Because, this was my main collection back then. I was super, super into it. Now this is one of my most prized gifts I've ever been given. This was given to me by a gentleman named Glenn, who I met in Campton, Kentucky. It's a small little town in Kentucky when I was just a little kid. I was a kid from New York going on a camping trip with my dad, and in a Marathon gas station, we met a man named Glenn, who I'm still in touch with, to protect his privacy. I'm keeping his last name out of it, but he was a sort of a grandfatherly figure, and he was so nice to me, and he taught us all about life in Kentucky, and he and his wife invited us to his home, and they cooked Southern meals for us, and he took me shooting, and he took us on hikes, and we became truly lifelong friends. And on the last day of that trip, I know we ended up going back and visiting him a couple times, but on the last day of that trip, he gave me this pocket knife. And this is the knife that he carried when he was a kid, and he gave it to me. And I don't think it's worth anything. I don't think it's financially, valuable in any way. But this is another one that is staying in my collection. This one I'm going to keep as well, because you just can't give something like that away. This guy is definitely one of the more valuable ones. I'll put the value on the screen over here. You'll be able to see it. This is a Case XX knife. Case is a famous American knife brand. And this one is, I believe, a 4-blade. Yes, this is a 4-blade version. And they're very sharp, so I don't want to cut myself while opening it. But I do want to display it nicely, right? Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it has some unique blades. I think this one might be originally for spaying sheep or something. You can see over here the Case logo. And you can tell the years and the age and the value of these knives by looking at the design of the logo. I have to take a look again. I really haven't been into knives in a very long time, but this one I also got on that same trip when I was in Kentucky, and this was actually also gifted to me by a gentleman who ran the Marathon gas station. We'd become friends with him too. And I think they just took a liking to, a little, 9-year-old boy from New York that collects pocket knives and likes to go camping. So this one I am going to sell, though, because I can't hold on to everything. The whole idea is I want to sell this collection and put it into something that I currently use, like my coin collection, something that I'm currently into. So this one is definitely one of the heavier hitters. Over here, we've got another Case knife. This is a Barlow-style knife. You can see here the logo is a little different, Case XX USA, and it has some dots. I think the dots have something to do with signifying the year. And the shape of this knife is known as a Barlow-style knife. This one's got some nice age on it, some nice wear. This one's got some, but it's got some value to it. I remember buying this at an antique shop for $5, also when I was on a camping trip with my dad. Another Case knife. This one's really cool. This one I actually bought new, and some of the ones that I bought new, I actually do believe I have the boxes for. I think this might be the box for that. Let's see. I think so. You can see it was originally $61.39. Yeah, I think this is it. and it's a beautiful knife. I'm sure it's gone up in value by this point, but look at this. It's another one of these like sort of country style knives where you've got a fork and a knife. But hey, how do you use a fork and a knife at the same time, right? That doesn't work too well. Well, check that out. Check that out. I thought this was so cool, and this is the one I bought. My dad always offered me like one pocket knife every time we went on a camping trip. You know, we'd go for 2 weeks every summer, and I'd be able to pick out one knife, you know, as I got older at a knife store. And this is the one I picked on that trip. Man, my dad was generous. Jeez Louise, I got to pay him for these. But anyway, this one's really, really cool. But I am going to be selling this as well. See, another Case knife? Believe we do. Yep. Case was my favorite brand at the time. Case was definitely my favorite brand at the time. I still really like them. I mean, I think they're beautiful. I think they've got a real classic, like Americana vibe to them. I just can't keep all of them. Actually, this one I believe is for was a farming tool for like spaying not wildlife, livestock. Here we go. This is Case XX. You can see again another logo variant. All the different logo variants tell you the age, like what year it was made, etc. So pretty cool. What do we have here? Is this another Case? No, this is an old timer. This is a Schrade knife. Schrade old timer was a very classic knife. Schrade is another American brand. I was always into the American brands, and I was never into the tactical stuff. So I actually, you know, I have all these knives, right? But I actually ordered on Amazon a more like modern tactical knife. It's by a brand called Souvenir, which I had never heard of when I was a kid. It might not have existed when I was a kid. But many of you might not know this, but I actually am a volunteer EMT. I'm a volunteer medic. And with all these knives, I don't actually have one good sort of tactical knife that I can use. So I bought that for $50. Hopefully I'll sell some of this and I'll have enough to buy the coins that I want and also sort of cover the cost of that as well. This one I remember getting. I thought it was beautiful. This is a boker knife. I bought this one also at a store. This is one of my annual gifts for my dad from these camping trips, you know, my annual choice. And this one, look how cool that is. It has sort of a frosted blade, Tree Brand Classic. You can see there it says boker, and it's in Germany, stainless. I just love this. I love this. I think I might have the box for this one as well. Yep, this guy. See, it does have a price tag. Ooh, it has the original bill of receipt, the bill of sale. Let's see. What did my dad pay for this? Also $63. Okay, so I guess that was, maybe he gave me a budget. I don't remember, honestly. But it looks like I was allowed to spend around $60 per knife. Really, wow, thank you, Dad. If you're watching this, which I believe you will be, thank you for all these gifts. And I'm going to sell them and put them towards another collection. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. All right, what's this guy? Now, admittedly, at this point, there are some that I don't remember the story. This one I think is a Winchester or a Remington. Remington. It's a Remington brand, like the rifle. And I think I might have just bought this at like a pawn shop, maybe on a camping trip, maybe elsewhere. But it's pretty worn. It's been used pretty well. You know, this probably doesn't go for more than like 10 or 15 bucks. I haven't been up on the knife market in a long time, so my prices might be a little bit off, especially because it's a little bit damaged. You can see it doesn't fit fully back into the where it's supposed to sit. But still, it's a cool piece. This is a Boy Scout knife. This is not the one that was sent to me by one of my Patreon patrons. This is one that I think I bought. Actually, I might have traded for this. So I thought I knew the story to all of these, but I guess I don't know the story to all of them. I guess some of them have been lost to the sands of time. But I think I might have traded for this from one of my friends when I was a kid. You know, I was always trading collectibles. I was always hustling. I don't know, maybe I traded some comic books for it or something. The official knife of the Boy Scouts of America. And fun silver picker fact, and this one's by Camillus. It's a New York knife. Fun fact, I am actually an Eagle Scout. Yes, I did Boy Scouts when I was a kid, and I did achieve the rank of Eagle. This one, and for any of my Scottish fans, you will tell me if I'm butchering the name, but I believe this is a Skian-Dhu, or something like that, a Skin-Dhu. and it is a ceremonial dagger. And I actually bought this when I was 18 on a trip to Scotland. My friends and I, we actually bought, our goal was we wanted to hike up Ben Nevis, the tallest mountain in Scotland and the tallest mountain in the UK, wearing kilts. And we did it, and we had a great time, and we bought the kilts, and this was also at one of these like souvenir stores, tourist shops, and I just couldn't say no to a traditional dagger. It's still pretty cool. It's in amazing shape. Obviously, I've never used it, but that will be available as well. This is really cool. This, I don't remember the name of this knife. It's a pretty common style. It's I think it's European, but I actually bought this when I was 18 at a flea market in Tel Aviv. And I think I paid $5 for it. So I'm sure that I got a good deal on it. I'm sure it's worth a lot more than $5, but it's a very long knife, as you can see, compare it to my hand. And it's a unique style, and I'm not 100% sure what this part was for. Maybe it was just for like structural integrity of the knife, but very, very cool piece. All right, and now we're getting on to some of the more mass market knives. I mean, obviously Case is still mass market, but it's a little bit different. This I bought at a garage sale, and it was $4, and I remember that because someone wrote $4 on the thing in Sharpie, and I remember trying to find a way to get rid of it when I was a kid, and I ended up scratching up the logo a little bit. But this, of course, is a Victorinox knife. This is a paring knife. You could take this on a little hike if you have some apples or something. You want to, cut them up while you're on a hike. A very classic. I love that kind of like Americana. I know it's a Swiss knife, but I love that sort of, not even Americana, just that sort of rustic, old school, people who had tools and used knives on a regular basis, like the kind of people that would carry one of these or one of these. A simple person just was using it as a tool, well used, well loved, and non-pretentious. And that's what I like about this knife also. And I know I got a good deal on it because any Victorinox knife is a good deal, especially when you're getting it for $4. I mean, this is not worth a ton. It's probably like a $15 knife. This was my mom's. She gave it to me, and she always had it up on the bookshelf, and she'd use it for like opening boxes and cutting little things every now and again. And I always liked it, and eventually she gave it to me. I'd always asked for it, and she said, "No, you've got a million of them. I only have one." And she ended up giving it to me. This tool, I'm not sure what it's for though. What is that? Anybody have any idea what this tool is for? Put it in the comments below if you have an idea. Now, normally I'd be selling these on my Whatnot auction, but they don't allow you to sell pocket knives on Whatnot, unfortunately. But I guess I'll do my usual shameless plug. And anybody who's watching, by the way, now at 18 minutes into the video, is definitely a hardcore fan. So if you haven't yet downloaded Whatnot, you got to do it. Trust me, it is an incredible, incredible app. It's whatnot.com/invite/silverpicker. And when you use my link, you get $10 to spend on anything you want, whether it's coins, silver, banknotes, or other collectibles and cool stuff. So that's my plug. This I got is another Swiss Army knife. This is a Wenger Swiss knife. You can see there, it says Wenger, Switzerland. And this one's really nice, actually. I love this sort of military aluminum scales. It's a very, very nice knife. And I got this from a friend of mine who he got it as a gift. He had no interest in it, and I think he sold it to me when we were in high school for $5. So he got like 2 slices of pizza, and I got this knife. I'm pretty happy about that deal. And I'm sure this is like $30, $40 knife, maybe even more new. This one, well, actually, now that I'm opening this one, it's possible that this one was my mom's and that one wasn't. I'm not sure which one it was, honestly. But this has a really interesting can opener, and it even has like a little diagram of how to open the can with it, which I think is really cool. So this is a Wenger. Nope, I was right. This was my mom's. This was my mom's. I do remember that. This one I don't remember where I got. Could have been anywhere. Speaking of my mom, though, this is a Swiss Army knife. It's the classic, little Swiss Army knife, though it does have, I believe that's a divot tool for golf. So it's a little bit of a variation on these sort of classic mini Swiss Army knives. And this one, I believe, My mom's old college roommate, who she's still very good friends with, gave this to me when I was a kid because I was showing off my pocket knife collection to her when she came to visit, and she said, well, I have one, and she had it in her purse, and she just gave it to me, and I thought that was so cool. Another classic little Swiss Army knife. Nothing special, just a regular old Swiss Army knife. This one is a MasterCard Swiss Army knife. My dad used to go to trade shows, and sometimes different vendors would give out little pocket knives, and I loved when he would get me pocket knives, and it was so rare when it would be an actual Swiss Army, Victorinox brand Swiss Army knife, and that was like the creme de la creme. That was really cool. This, on the other hand, is, oh no, this is a Victorinox. This is a Victorinox, and it's for Quindex Extentabs, extended release sulfate tablets. This is obviously from a trade show. It's funny, my dad wasn't even in the pharmaceutical industry. I have no idea how he got this, but super interesting because I have no idea what this is, but it is indeed a Swiss Army knife. It's a Victorinox branded knife, so it's a good quality one, just like these. But it's got the standard tool set. This one is a blue one. I always like the blue ones. This one is a Coors Light, the Silver Bullet. Very cool. I'm sure somebody out there will be interested in that. This one's probably worth a little bit extra. The ones that have like cool brands that people recognize are usually worth a little bit more. So like the Coors Light one, the MasterCard one, I'm not sure what company this is, but it is really cool looking. Maybe I'll sell those three to the same person. Whoever collects that will want that anyway. So that's pretty cool. Now these, I bought a couple of these, I think at a lot at a flea market or a garage sale, and it's a Heineken bottle opener. It's a vintage Heineken bottle opener, but it counts as a knife because it has a knife. Similarly here, we've got a Coca-Cola, and this is a vintage one. This one might be interesting actually to any Coca-Cola collectors as well. Does it have a marking? It has a patent marking. Doesn't have a knife maker brand, but it does have a knife, so it does count. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Don't worry, we're gonna get to some more cool stuff again. This one's a similar one. It's from Amstel Light, or Amstel, not Amstel Light. And it's a tiny little knife, teeny tiny little knife. But it's cool. And some of these, like people who are really into collecting knives, and people who use their knives, this is the kind of thing that they would just put everywhere. Like if somebody bought this whole collection, they would have this on a key ring, they'd have this in a little survival kit, they'd have this on a different key ring, they'd have this in their glove compartment and stuff like that. So, there's people who are really into knives, they've got them everywhere, and I just sort of had it in my collection. And as I'm looking at this, I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll hold on to one of these and put it on a key ring. Ooh, maybe I'll hold on to one of these. But no, I've got to part ways with it. I want them to be used. I want people to enjoy them, and I want them to find a good home. This one says Klophaus OHLIGS. That I don't know what it is. I don't even remember where I got this one. I'm sure that some, these kind of old ones like this, I'm sure I bought them at garage sales. I used to go to garage sales and I picked these up for a buck or two. And basically anytime I saw a pocket knife that was cheap, I bought it. This one is cool. It's from the CEO Lamreau & Co. in Worcester, Massachusetts. And it is marked, I remember. What does it say? I think it says Hammer Brand USA. Something like that. I'll have to do a little more research on this. But I remember getting this at an antique store. All right. Ooh, these guys. I forgot about this. So this one I bought also, I think at the same antique store I bought this. I think I bought both of these together for $5. And it has a patent number on there. And that's all. But it's a tiny little pocket knife. And I believe that these were made to clean your fingernails. Basically, you'd have this on a key ring or something. Teeny tiny little knife. I mean, this is tiny, you can see. Remember I said how big this one was? I mean, look at this. Look how tiny this is in comparison. Okay, so that's that. This is one of the coolest things. They would never allow this today, but this little knife I got in one of those quarter toy gumball machines, right? You put a quarter in and you get a little bubble with something in it, and this is what I got. And I just thought that was so cool, and it's actually really sharp. Really, really sharp. I mean, it's not worth a lot, obviously, but it is a interesting historical novelty because, you know, back in the 90s, yeah, you could go and a kid could buy a little knife. Nowadays, that would just not fly. I mean, look how tiny this is. I mean, closed, it's like the size of, it's like half the size of my thumb. All right, now we've got these guys done. We've got one more line to go, and then we've got the big stuff. The big stuff, the crazy stuff. You'll see, you'll like it. All right, we'll do a couple of these together because these are all basically the same. They're not that interesting. These are all knockoff of the Swiss Army knife. It's the same idea, but they're much crappier. They have, you know, a much less sharp blade. And these are ones also that my dad picked up from different trade shows. You can see it says stainless China. This is from Raleigh something or other. Compliments of Transcontinental Credit and Collection Corporation. This is actually where my dad used to work. Limor tapered baguettes. Ah, okay, interesting. Oh, Tel Aviv. So I guess this is a jeweler. Interesting. I have no idea where I got this, but this must have been from a jeweler. And another transcontinental one. These are not Swiss Army knives. So these I'll probably sell to somebody who collects them. You know, I'll probably sell them for like $2 or $3 a piece, and that'll be that. And someone will probably buy all of them. This is these two are both knockoff Swiss Army knives as well. You can see here, this one almost this logo I recognize from somewhere. It's not this logo, but like there's a similar one. I think maybe like, is it Quest bars, like the protein bars? I don't know. Anyway, I bought this one in Canada at a dollar store called the Dollarama. I was on a family vacation there, and I think it was more than $1, but I bought this one, and I actually bought this one there as well at the Dollarama. It's pretty cool that, I mean, I think this one was actually $1. Like, you could get a knife at a store. I mean, it's really terrible look. I mean, it's flimsy, but, you know, I bought it for $1. It's really thin. That's the thing I liked about it. It's really thin and very cool. Oh, I've got a crazy story about this one. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, this is just like a multi-tool. It's pretty crappy. The blade is really, really dull. It was dull the day I got it. This is also sort of a knockoff Swiss Army knife. You can say it says stainless steel Japan, but it is not it's a knockoff, but it's still good quality. And this one I think is from the 70s, I want to say. It's from Japan as opposed to China, and it's actually not a bad knife. Okay, so I promised a good story with this guy. So this is pretty crazy. This is not a good quality knife at all. What is it? It's a stainless China chromate, right? It's just a little locking knife. It's a little liner lock knife. And what is special about this? Well, you can see it's really dirty. Like, it's really like covered in crud and dirt. I was with my mom when I was a kid. I was probably like 12 or 13, and she dragged me along to an errand she had to run. And I was annoyed, and I was dawdling, and she was in a rush, and she kept saying, "Max, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you taking so long?" And she said, "What are you doing?" Right? I was just sort of like dawdling behind, like looking at the ground. And out of nowhere, I just blurt, "I'm looking for pocket knives." And that's like a crazy thing to say, a really dumb, ridiculous thing to say, because like I'm just wandering in a normal, or like walking through like a park basically, and lo and behold, I say that, and not 10 seconds later, I see this sticking out of the dirt. And I kid you not, I didn't know, I didn't see. It was just the weirdest, craziest thing, crazy coincidence. And my mom goes, "You're not gonna find anything, just come, we have to go, we're in a rush, blah, blah, blah." And then I picked this up, and we were both perplexed, we were both shocked. And that was that. I mean, I kind of want to hold on to this for like nostalgia purposes, but I don't really need it. It's kind of just a funny story. But you know, all these will be for sale. I'll probably sell some of the cheaper ones in a lot. Or if somebody wants some silver picker history, they can get that. This I got at West Point. I went to West Point to the museum. I think I was there on a school trip, and somehow I got away with buying a knife. Times were different. That is for darn sure. That is for darn sure. This was I think it's an Imperial New York knife. Imperial knife. So Imperial was a brand that they were known for making knockoffs of other knives, but they were still good quality, and this was in my grandfather's tackle box. I considered holding on to this as nostalgia, but the truth is, there's too many. All of these, as you can see, have stories. They all have nostalgia, and I can't just hold on to all of them. So here's a good example. This, you can see it says Barlow, and this is another imperial knife. Let's see, I believe this is an imperial knife. Yep, you can see it says Imperial. This one's made in Ireland. And remember, I said that we have a Barlow style knife here from Case, and this is sort of, I mean, this is a Barlow knife that's in a really, really, you know, it's heavy. I can't sort of obviously show you the weight on camera, but here, this one is plastic scales. It's really crappy. It's very rickety, and it's you know, it's junk. It's not junk. I shouldn't say that. The Imperial knives are good as you know, as knockoffs, essentially. They're a good knockoff, but it doesn't substitute for the real thing. Like this, I think, is like a $75 or $100 knife, and this is like a $10 or $15 knife. And we've got another one, another Imperial. And these scales, you can even just sort of like hear them clicking if I like rub my fingers on them, because it's just tin or like aluminum or something. It's still a cool little knife. This one I got in a pawn shop, I remember, and it is a frost cutlery knife. It's nothing special, but I really liked the shape of this blade. I thought it was really cool, so that's why I wanted it. I remember getting it because, you know, I was like, oh, that's a unique blade I've never seen before. This I bought at a garage sale for $1. I thought it was cool. It's United Korea, and it has this little bear motif, so I thought that was cool. It's like an enameled bear. This is another one that I can't sell, unfortunately, because it is another automatic, and I bought this at a flea market when I was a teenager. I thought it was cool, and that was that. This is actually from an Israeli bus. It's a glass breaker. It's not really a knife. I don't know why I guess I associated it with a knife because it has a little like seatbelt cutter blade, and this I believe glows in the dark, and this is for breaking the window. And I don't remember how I got this. No, I did not steal it, but that was a pretty cool little memento. Okay, let's move on to some of the more unusual, bigger things. This is not made of metal, but it is a knife. This is obsidian. It is a type of rock, essentially. It's like a glass-like rock that Native Americans used to chip away to make hunting tools. And this is very sharp, and it has the jawbone of an animal of some kind. I can't remember what kind of animal it was. Not sure what this is, what kind of animal this is, but it is an authentic jawbone, and it was made in the traditional Native American style, and this one is from Alaska. My dad bought this for me on a trip to Alaska. This is definitely a little bit pricier, but really, really cool. Definitely a display piece, not a use piece, but very cool. Now, this one I'm going to save for last because it's really one of the coolest things I have, but that's just a little teaser, This is a kukri knife used by the Gurkha warriors, and this is when I bought this in Montreal at a flea market when I was 13, and you can see it's a ceremonial knife. It's you can see here it's got some like design on the blade. Pretty cool. Got some nice heft to it. Very cool shape. You can see the warriors would use it. Very, very cool scabbard as well. And it also has these two little knives, these two little miniature knives, and I never fully understood what they were for. I certainly don't think that they're for battle. I was once told that they're for sharpening the knife, but I'm not sure how that would work. Anyway, this is a really, really cool piece. And moving on to another cool piece that is also an antique. This my dad bought in Egypt, I think in the early 1980s, and it is really heavy. This thing weighs, I think, several pounds. This is a really, really heavy-duty, serious knife. I believe it's a ceremonial slaughtering knife, and I think this is definitely made out of bone or some kind of wood, and this is really, really heavy and obviously handmade. This is very, very cool. This is something that you could definitely hang up. This is something cool that you could put in a man cave or something, or in an antique display, but really, really cool. And then, until I show you this, I've got 3 more knives, and they are fixed blades. Got this bad boy over here. This is a Special Plus Air Force knife made by Ontario Knife Company. And this I bought, actually I went on like a survivalist trip where, you know, we went into the woods with just, you know, some fishing hooks, a metal canteen, a knife, and like a magnesium block, or like a fire starter, something like that. And this is the knife that I was issued for that trip. It's got some nice heft, really good rubber grip. And if somebody sharpens this up, it could be a very good, you know, survival knife for sure. It's not super expensive. I think it's like a $25 knife, something like that. Okay, next up, we've got these two bad boys. One of them I'm gonna keep. I'm probably gonna keep the black one because it was the first one. This is my first fixed blade knife ever. It's made by Glock. Yes, the Glock, the gun company. And I love this thing. I used this on every camping trip I was on. I used it to dig, I used it to cut, I used it to chop, I used it to cut rope. I used it for everything. I love this thing. And I took it on camping trips from when I got it when I was like 10 or 11 until I was in my 20s, and I still use it sometimes. I like the black one, so I ended up getting the sort of the Desert Storm version. It's the same idea, but this one is the tan color one. I will probably sell the tan color one and hold on to the black one. So out of all of these knives, I'm only gonna hold on to 3, I believe, which are these 3. And the rest I'm gonna sell. But, oh, I said I was gonna, I actually skipped 2 knives. I skipped this one also. So, all right, so I'll get back to this one at the end, and this one I'll show you now. This is actually a letter opener, but I still count it as a knife. This was my great aunt's, and I believe her husband, who was not my great uncle, but her second husband, I believe he made this during World War II. This is trench art. It's a very well-known style of art in which, you know, especially popularized in World War I and World War II, also in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. But basically, soldiers would make different types of art out of, you know, the stuff they had around. And this is a letter opener that was made from a, I believe it's a 50 caliber shell, 50 caliber rifle round. Very, very cool. This is definitely a unique piece, and somebody, whoever purchases this, will have something really, really unusual and unique in their collection. Okay, and last but not least, this is my only custom knife, my only handmade knife, and I bought this many, many years ago on a camping trip. I bought this in 2004, and I still have the paperwork. It is a Kevin Hoffman knife from Florida, and it says Tonto folder, anodized titanium something scales. Maybe you guys can read that. And it has ATS 34 steel, and it was $178 when I bought it. I've looked them up on since, and I think that these go for around $400 now. You can see there, look at that. You can see it says KLH, and it has that little knife logo on there, and then on the other side, it has the state of Florida. And it's Tonto style, meaning that's the blade type. You can see the anodized steel there, and then these scales. It's a beautiful knife, and it was a real treat. I was very surprised when my dad bought this for me. He surprised me with it. I was looking at it, and I was sort of mesmerized by it, and I was just starting to get into, you know, sort of the higher end knives. You know, I'd always been into the case knives, all the stuff that was like sort of mass market, and this is the first time I bought a handmade knife, and I bought some books on knife making, and I thought I was going to get into knife making. I never did, but I was really, really into it. So this one, I think this is probably around a $400 knife right now. This one might, on its own, pay for one of those Seated Liberty dollars that I'm looking to get. But anyway, like that's the long and the short of it. So you've seen all of my knives, you've seen my knife collection, and man, this was such a nice trip down memory lane. Oh, and look, guess what? While I'm here, I actually looked over to my right and I realized I had taken a knife out to use earlier, and you can hear me wandering about my room. And this is another one. I actually have a couple others that are hiding away, you know, that I think I have in like toolboxes and stuff. But this is called the Schrade Cliffhanger, and I bought this, I think, at Walmart when I was a young teen, maybe 13 or 14. And I just thought it was so cool because it had this clip that you just sort of press on, and you can clip it to your gear and have easy access whenever you need. And I use this thing a lot. You know, it's a little bit wobbly. It's not the greatest knife in the world. I think it was like 20 bucks when I got it, and it's, you know, plastic scales. But I sort of had this as like my workhorse knife, and I used this for many, many years. And this is actually what I was carrying up until recently with my part of my EMT kit. Until I just bought the Souvenir one, which it's still in the mail. I haven't gotten it yet, but that's what I'm gonna be replacing it with. So anyway, that'll be for sale too. Anyway, this has been my knife collection that I am going to be parting ways with, but it's time, it's the right time. And again, if you're interested in any of these, hit me up in Instagram, at the Silver Picker, or email me at thesilverpicker@gmail.com, and I'll make you a deal. You know, if you buy more than one, I'll make you an even better deal. So anyway, help me make my coin collection better, help me get these to a good home, and help yourself to some cool cutlery. Anyway, I had so much fun making this video. If you're not yet subscribed, hit that big old red subscribe button. While you're down there, throw me a like. It helps me out, helps promote the video, helps promote my channel, and I really hope you enjoyed. I've got a lot more awesome stuff coming down the pike, so stay tuned, and until then, Silver Picker out. A huge thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. You guys are amazing. If you are not yet a patron, well, now's the time to join, because not only do you get access to our incredible Discord server, but I'm producing more and more Patreon exclusive videos every single week. So if you want to join and support the channel and get more Silver Picker while you're at it, the links are below, and I can't wait to meet you in our private Discord server.